Have you ever heard of a black KKK member? Spike Lee's newest joint brings the true life story to the big screen with BlacKkKlansman. Hey, Ryan, so you play one of the KKK members, correct?
Yes.
What's it like getting into that character, and were you nervous to take on somebody who's, well, basically despised and loathed and like...
Yes. Artistically, it's exciting for me to play something I have never played before, something that is not charming or sexy or fun or cool, but is ugly and full of hate and ignorance and all this stuff. And you know, the first time I saw it, you're like, I mean, it takes a minute to get comfortable with that kind of ugliness, but ultimately you're telling Spike's story, and you're a player in that orchestra, and so you play your part so that JD can do his thing and tell Ron's story that's ultimately about overcoming this kind of ignorance.
And getting into character, doing research, did you have to do any of that, you and Topher? What's that like?
It's not enjoyable. It really isn't, because you immerse yourself in a world of, at least I did, documentaries, interviews with the real guys, with Klans people, with neo-Nazis, but you know, you start to see recurring things. You start to see people who are afraid, aren't as educated as they could be, looking for some kind of reason to feel better. And you start to notice sort of where this kind of, you know, bigotry comes from. But anyway, and you know, how love is ultimately the answer, which sounds very Hallmark, but it's true. You know, these kids grow up in a broken home and they don't know where to turn. They've never met, a white kid's never met a black kid in his life, and some guy takes him in and gives him a home and says, this is the answer. I mean, it's not unlike Hitler uniting Germany against Jews. So anyways, I'm getting carried away. You immerse yourself in really ugly stuff, and you try to play your part so that you can tell this story.
Yeah, and in the trailer, we see the Klansmen together kind of chanting something along the lines that almost sounds similar to Make America Great Again. Do you feel like Trump has emboldened racists today, or racism today?
Undeniably. Not, you know, last year at Charlottesville, not immediately condemning white supremacists for attacking people is inexcusable. And, you know, he also encourages division. He encourages hatred towards the media. He encourages people to fight each other at his rallies. I mean, we had 8 years of someone who was very eloquent and tried to bring people together, and now, unfortunately, we have someone who I think is encouraging of division because it creates fear and anger, and that's a very fertile ground for him to succeed, unfortunately. And so I think that's what it comes down to.
And lastly, why do you think it was important to include footage from Charlottesville? I mean, the movie takes place in another time, and then you brought it into today. Why do you think that was important to include as somebody who was part of the film?
I think that's just Spike's reminder that these things aren't dead, that they live today. And I think we are, I think we are getting better, but there's also a lot of ugliness that's still there. There's a lot of work we still have to do. There's a lot of ways that we could be better, more inclusive, more loving towards our fellow man. And so that's just Spike's reminder that this is not just a fake movie. It's a true story about a real guy, and it's based on some real shit that's happening today.
Thank you so much.
Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you.